So, I'm about to take off to Santa Fe, and I've decided to play around with Chucky Radio. That's the waterfall at the pool in the courtyard that you hear in the background. And because the weather is so nice, we can leave our door open, our windows open. It's really cool. And as always, I have to have my sparkling water. So, some things I have been learning because I'm putting out my trip to Australia episode. I need to create some kind of sound barrier between my side and my guest side. I have a tendency to talk pretty loud typically, and I get picked up a lot in the other person's mic, especially when I have someone like Jana who tends to speak a little softer, so I turn her microphone up, and so my voice gets picked up almost as much as hers, and it creates this kind of weird echo. So it's funny, since we're in these crazy COVID times, there's actually all kinds of shields that you can purchase that are like countertop shields. And so I can take a 1/4 inch of clear acrylic. I'm looking at a 24 by 24, and I can create this barrier between us that should prevent the sound from being easily picked up on the other mic and still be able to see each other. Because the alternative, and not to get all technical on everyone, but I'd have to completely change my mics. And I like these mics. These are great mics. They pick up a lot of sound, and it's kind of what I like about this is you can hear the waterfall in the background. You can hear the bubbly of my sparkling water, and it's cool. If I had a dynamic mic that's really intended for like singing and things like that, yeah, I wouldn't get all these side noises, but it would be just my voice, and I'm kind of liking this, so I'm glad I made this choice. So, what is Chucky up to? Well, I'm about to depart on an 11-hour drive, my first big trip since COVID started. In fact, I am needing to get packed and ready, but I always prep pretty quick for trips. I get more stressed about just getting stuff done before I leave, which I pretty much wrapped things up. And I'm going to spend some time with my sister in Santa Fe. So far, we've scoped out some cool mineral baths in Jimenez, and we'll probably end up going, well, we are going, because we've already planned on it, up to Taos. She's corrected me several times, by the way, because I guess a lot of people say Taos, since there's an A-O-S, right? T-A-O-S. But the correct pronunciation is just a single syllable sound. Taos. So yeah, we're going to go up there, do some hiking. I want to check out these earth ships They're completely self-sustaining units. A buddy of mine had gone up there and stayed in one with his family and absolutely loved it. Wants to build one. Thinks it's what's going to change the world eventually. Thermodynamic, natural AC and heating from just having pipes going into the ground and pipes, I guess, through the roof to pick up heat when you need heat, and then the ground to pick up cool. And he was saying something like you don't even need a fan because the cool air or the warm air automatically will cause a rotation. Anyway, and of course, you've got solar power and you've got all these different sustainability methods, not to mention the insulation and all that. So that'd be cool to check out. My sister's been on a big health kick, been getting in really good shape, and she wants to do some hiking. Dreaded elevator. Refrigerator just kicked on. Hold on. I can handle the water sound in the background because even though it's electrical pumps that are probably, or they are, getting the water to the surface, the sound we're hearing is just the water itself, which at least is natural. But that refrigerator, when it comes on, it's just a dreaded reminder of all the dependence on electronics around us. And not so much I'm against being dependent on electronics. I'm recording this on electronics. But I don't like it when it's disruptive to our thoughts, to just the natural sound around us. It becomes a form of noise pollution, essentially. So I always shut the refrigerator down and have to put a note on it to remind me to turn it back on, because I sometimes forget to turn it back on, and then hours later, the next day, I go into my freezer to get some ice, and it's a puddle of water. So I put a nice big sticky note that says, turn on. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this trip. And it's always nice to be in that kind of majestic nature. The mountains, the rivers, the natural springs. Just getting connected to that really reinvigorates the soul, So I'm looking forward to that. And it's a quick trip. Total of 2 days of driving to be there for 3 days. Of course, since a lot of my work is answering calls and just helping direct customers and people to the right resources, I'll be able to work while I'm driving and do some brainstorming for our fiscal year, since we just ended September 30th, our 2020 fiscal year, and now we're starting 2021. Man, 2021. It's like a sci-fi movie. They have been sci-fi movies. I mean, it is pretty amazing when you get older how you just never realized you were living in the future. Okay, I'm not stoned. I swear I'm not stoned. So, I may have some fun stories when I get back from this trip. Right now, the cool things going on, don't want to dive into it at the moment. There's some really cool stuff going on with the documentary. And we've been doing some fun live streams. I had a really good live stream for Sarah Sharp and her trio with Harmony Kelly and Oliver Steck. They did a really fun TV theme song night. I was trying to get that title right because I'm the one that creates the scheduled event on Facebook and everything. And I think originally I was just like, I forgot what I put on there, but it wasn't even close. And I finally found something that they had listed it on, and I got it right. But no, it was great, and their costumes. And one of the opening songs was Three's Company, and since it was perfect. I mean, these guys are good. Since it was Oliver, basically he was Jack, and then Sarah, being blonde, was the perfect Chrissy, and and then Harmony. Oh my God, she got a wig that looked just like the Janet character from Three's Company. And now I'm really starting to date myself because I remember watching Three's Company when I was a kid. And I don't think it was reruns. Maybe it was some reruns. But yeah, they did a great job. And just all the songs. And what's so fun about their trio is they make the songs their own, They come up with their own interpretation. They have great, harmonies that they sing, and it just turns out to be really fun. And so I think the last show was probably one of their best. Sarah typically plays with a band at the Elephant Room, which is a great jazz venue in downtown Austin, one of the oldest jazz venues in Austin. And she has a great band, Mitch Watkins, who's just a wonderful guitar player, and Masumi Jones on drums, and she'll typically have Chris Wade on the bass, and Sarah does a mix of jazz and some of her originals that are more kind of Nora Jones style, and I mean, great for that venue. But when we started this live stream, COVID obviously shut down their weekly show, and she started to try to do a live stream on her own, just with her phone. And the first one indoors, she just did it with Mitch. It actually turned out decent. And then they started to do them outdoors to get the whole band together. And sound was awful. And, it was just sticking a camera on a pole, basically. And so I got involved. I said, Sarah, would you be open to me producing your live stream? And it was like, I couldn't even finish the sentence. She's like, yes. It was awesome. And so I jumped in there and started utilizing some tools like OBS Studios. That's a software for broadcasting, and using 2 cameras and, just stuff like that. And then she spoke with her friend Johnny, who's an amazing sound engineer. He's been traveling for the last couple decades with Marsha Ball, an amazing singer. And man, he has a crazy great setup. And he came, and honestly, at first, it was like overwhelming. I mean, it just seemed like he wanted to do such a great job, and he brought like literally a trailer with all his equipment. And since we were outdoors, he was mixing to an audience that would gather outdoors and trying to mix to the live stream, which are 2 different mixes. Not to get all technical, but yeah, we had some struggles there in the beginning, and I was just like, this just doesn't seem to really work because it's just so hard, and get the mix right for the live stream. And it's great that we have this great sound outside, but the live stream sound was just really suffering. And I think part of it was learning curve, not just Johnny trying to figure out how to mix it, but me trying to figure out how to listen to it and adjust it and adjust to right level and give the feedback needed, and really ultimately have the right equipment. And so week by week, I became a believer, and he started really getting it, making the mix what it needed to be, and kept improving. And he started scaling back all the equipment he brought, so it wasn't like so overwhelming. And we did eventually move indoors, which now we didn't have to worry about this big setup for outdoor, and that simplified things. But then we started running into some issues because we were getting a little bit overboard. I mean, Johnny, he's great, but man, he loves the experiment, which is, hey, we're working for essentially just a little piece of the tips. And, it's an opportunity for all of us to learn and expand. And so sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. And we ran into a couple of times where things didn't work, and I think it was frustrating. The guys, the band, which at that point was really just coming down to just Sarah and Mitch. And so I think once Mitch finally kind of, I wouldn't say burnt out, but it was, he had played enough. He'd done it week after week, and he was really a trooper. I'm assuming he was the first one to kind of drop out, not feeling super comfortable, and just wanting to be safer. And then eventually Chris has a lot going on. He was the bassist, and so it was down to Sarah and Mitch, and we did some really cool stuff. I mean, there's a video that we did, just the 2 of them, because we had done a live stream, not for Sarah's page, but for another entity. And because we had this interesting setup, Johnny came up with this great idea to use my light that I had on a stand as kind of this roaming spotlight, and I was using my gimbal to film between Sarah and Mitch, and then we were in Sarah's bedroom, and it just ended up. And then the sound, we got the mix down, the sound was great, and we ended up recording, what was the song? I don't remember, but you'll find it on Sarah's YouTube, Sarah Sharp ATX, and man, it just turned out beautiful. In fact, it's the video on her Facebook page, which is Sarah Sharp ATX, which if you don't know what that means, it's Austin, Texas. TX is Texas, abbreviation, and just A for Austin. A lot of people here use that as an abbreviation. And so, anyway, on our Facebook page, it's like the one video that's probably gotten the most views. because it's beautiful. Man, I've gone on this tangent about live streaming and Sarah and the bands and all that, but it is pretty cool. It's interesting how things evolve, and you really don't realize it can evolve. In one of the evolutions of this, Johnny and I really were working well together, and he has been doing a production for Schultz Garden, which is the oldest beer garden in the United States, founded in 1866. And they were interested in him doing a live stream, and he asked me to come on board. And it's kind of funny because Sarah's deal is kind of, I run that show. Of course, Johnny brings so much to it. I mean, it's ridiculous because he has all the great equipment. I just essentially manage the cameras and make some decisions, ultimately how we're going to shoot things. But on the live stream in Schultz Garden, we're actually now getting paid. And man, he's there early. He's set up. He's so on top of it that, I mean, I almost feel bad sometimes because I just show up within the hour of the show starting, and I don't have to do much except set up the live stream, and I mean there's some pre-work I do and all that to just help promote it online, help schedule it so it shows up the day of or the day before, some things like that. But I mean, Johnny's there like 2-3 hours early, and he's really honing down his setup, and he's investing in the best equipment, which is really cool. And I mean, this is Johnny's profession. I mean, he is a sound guy, a sound engineer, and he's done video side too. And so it's a really good team, and I have some of the technical skills to understand how to integrate with the Facebook and to do the key streams and all that. And I show that to Johnny because someday, I mean, I've got my day job and some other little things kind of cooking in the background, so I don't know if I'll make live streaming kind of a full-time venture any time, but I could see Johnny really building it into a real substantial business. I don't think this is going away anytime soon as far as the need to do these kind of productions, and it ties in to what he already has been doing, which is doing live shows, which eventually, hopefully, maybe a year from now, we will start seeing a lot of live shows again. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what that whole thing has been about and where it's gone, and it will be interesting to see where it continues to evolve. But in the meantime, here's the good health to continuing to grow, expand our minds, connect. Yeah. I kind of go towards the path, and I get away for a while, and I get all in a funk, and then I get things together and start focusing on my health, and I can immediately tell as I get in a more healthy, fit physical state, I mentally and spiritually just start connecting to everything again, connecting to our universe, connecting to the people around me. And it shouldn't be a big surprise, but man, I looked back 6 months ago and I'm like, I was just in a funk. I mean, 8, 9 months ago, Christmas, even January, which typically is a time of year that, okay, it's a new year and my birthday's in January, I was still in a funk. And a lot of it has to do with your health, you know? Man, we are just a ongoing chemistry experiment. Our bodies, hormones, everything, man. It's, between all the chemicals and the electrical impulses that create and cause everything that happens on a physical level. If that's not taken care of, man, it disconnects you. So I'm just gonna keep on the path, and the last thing I'll just leave this session on is that I always have to remind myself, and I want to remind myself, and I am reminding myself, that I get to these points by having a healthy routine. And just because I feel great and I'm doing great, I can't lose that focus that is important to maintain that healthy routine, to maintain that good diet and that exercise, and taking time to meditate and taking time to read, and not get caught up in this newfound energy source that all of a sudden I'm just forgetting all the things that got me there, not paying attention to my diet, not paying attention to the need to exercise on a regular basis, and I just start going nuts, embracing whatever I decide is the passion of the day. And so, yeah, I'm going to continue to remind myself, I had a good bike ride today. Ate healthy today. And it, every day, it's a new day and a new opportunity to continue to maintain these healthy habits. All right. It was nice chatting. Take care.